Everybody to the fifth and final episode of Fresh Eats with Brad and Meg. Today we're going to be making a chili with the homemade tortilla chips. So does everybody have their ingredients in front of them and ready to go?
Yep.
That's why it says corn tortillas.
Perfect. All right, so before we go on to step one, make sure everyone has their pot on the stove, and we're going to turn on to medium heat.
All right.
I'll share my screen with everybody. Oh, that's not the screen. Oops. No.
Hey guys, welcome back to Fresh Eats. I'm Brad.
And I'm Meg, and today we're making chili with homemade tortilla chips. So for today's ingredients, we have chicken broth, oil, kidney beans drained and rinsed, diced tomatoes with their juices, bell peppers, onions, ground turkey, corn tortillas, lime, garlic, and your spice blend.
Step 1. With your pot over medium heat, add a small amount of oil and the ground turkey. Using a spatula, break up the ground turkey into small pieces. Season with salt and pepper. Cook the ground turkey until it is no longer pink. This should take about 5 to 6 minutes. All right, so add a little bit of oil to your pot before you add your turkey in. And once your pan's nice or your pot's nice and warm, you can add your turkey and start breaking it up. You can also season your turkey with the salt and pepper at this point. Make sure you continuously break up your meat so that it doesn't get in big chunks. You want nice little pieces. This is also a good time to start preheating your oven. So we're going to turn the oven on to 375 so we can make our tortilla chips. All right, how's everyone doing?
Good.
Good. How's your turkey coming along? Is it almost cooked?
Almost.
Right, and don't forget to salt and pepper if you haven't already. Right, we're probably good to move on to the next step because the turkey's still going to keep cooking with everything else. So we can move on to step 2.
Step 2. Once the ground turkey is completely cooked, add the onions, bell peppers, garlic, and seasoning pack to the pot. Cook the vegetables until they are soft and the spices are fragrant. This will take 6 to 8 minutes.
Right, so we're going to add in our onions and peppers and garlic and then all the spices. If it seems a little dry, you can add a little bit more oil too, just a little bit though. Adding in your spices early like this is really good because it brings the flavors out in them. Tina said it's smelling good. How's everyone else's kitchen smelling? Smell like the spices?
Yep.
Does anyone have any questions so far? Make sure you keep mixing all your ingredients so nothing gets stuck to the bottom of the pot. How are our peppers and onions looking? Are they starting to cook down, get soft?
A little bit.
Right. Our peppers and onions should probably cook down enough for us to move on to the next step. So before we do, just make sure everyone has their ovens preheated to 375, just so we're ready to do the tortilla chips soon.
Yeah, mine's already preheated.
Perfect. All right, so we can move on to step 3 now.
Step 3. To the pot, add in the drained and rinsed kidney beans, diced tomatoes with their juices, and the broth. Stir to combine all the ingredients. Bring to a boil and then reduce the heat to medium-low and simmer until the chili has begun to thicken. The longer this simmers, the better the flavor will be. We cook ours for 35 to 40 minutes.
Step. All right, so you're gonna add in your beans and your chicken broth and your tomatoes. You can also add in different types of beans here too. We just added kidney beans, but you can use black beans, pinto beans, chickpeas, lots of different things to bulk up your chili. You can even add like corn and lots of other things. Chili is a very easy thing to put in. Oh, Tina says she bought canned beans that have 5 different ones mixed in, so that's good. If you're at the grocery store and you see like the cans of mixed beans, those are good. Everything but baked beans probably be good in this. If your chili is looking a little too thick, you can add some extra chicken stock or vegetable stock, whatever you're using.
I bet it looks like soupy.
looks a little soupy.
Yeah.
It's gonna cook down a bit, so you can turn our heat up a little bit to closer to medium high, and we're gonna bring it to a boil, and then it's gonna simmer for about, we let ours for like 35-40 minutes, but depending on how long you want to let it simmer for, but it will simmer down a bit.
Okay.
Yep, so just turn your heat up a little bit, and once it starts to boil, we can turn it down. Yeah, and as we said, we did ours for 35 to 40 minutes, but honestly, like as soon as like it's boiling, like, and you're fine with like the consistency of that, you can eat it right away. It's just the longer you boil it, the more the flavors get to mellow together, and it gets better. So chili is usually better like the next day or something. So if you have leftovers, this will be hopefully a lot better tomorrow. But no worries, it'll probably be good tonight too. Tina asked, will the spices get stronger tomorrow? I find like the spices, like, they just come out more almost, like with like when it sits, like I feel like the flavors like come together more, I find. I don't know exactly how to say that. I just feel like some things are like better when they like get to sit and like they come together. Yeah. Make sure when you're stirring, you really get to the bottom of the pot so nothing sticks. Has anyone come to a boil yet?
Mine's boiling a little bit.
Right, so once it comes to like a good boil, we can turn it down a little bit, just let it simmer. So you don't want really heavy bubbles coming up, just nice, small, little bubbles. All right, so if everyone has their chili simmering away and their ovens getting preheated, we can move on to step 4. All right.
Step 4. In the meantime, while your chili simmers, we can make the tortilla chips. Stack the tortillas on top of each other and cut them into 6 to 8 triangles using a large kitchen knife. We did 6 triangles here. Cut your lime in half and juice it into a small bowl. To the lime juice, add 2 tablespoons of oil. Step 5.
All right, so we're gonna cut up our tortilla chips. We found that it was easier just like when you stack them all together and you can cut them, but if that's too difficult for you, you can just cut them individually, that's fine. And we also did triangles. You could do like strips or whatever shape you desire. And also depending on how juicy your lime is, you might use half the lime or the whole lime, just about 1.5 tablespoons of lime juice, I think it was. Or you can omit the lime too. It's up to you. You're not a citrus person. All right, how's everyone doing? Do we have our tortilla chips cut up?
Yep.
Perfect. And we got our limes juiced, mixed in with our oil.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, so we can move on to the next step. Step 5.
Place the tortilla triangles on a baking sheet in a single layer. You may need to use 2 baking trays for this. Using a pastry brush or a spoon, if you don't have one, brush the oil and lime mixture evenly over the tortillas. Flip the tortillas over and brush the oil mixture on the other side. Bake in the preheated oven for 10 to 12 minutes, flipping the tortillas halfway through. Keep an eye on the tortillas to make sure they do not get too browned. Once slightly golden, remove from the oven and set aside.
All right, so we're going to use that lime and oil mixture, and we're going to lightly coat both sides of the tortilla chips. We're going to bake them for about 5 to 12 minutes on the middle rack of your oven. I would make a timer for about 4 or 5 minutes because when we made them, they browned very quickly. So just make sure you keep an eye on them before you have to flip them because they might get a little crispy. And make sure you keep stirring your chili so nothing's sticking. Hopefully it's starting to thicken up a little bit.
Let's see here. Haley said, could it be frozen?
What are you talking about, Haley?
Like if I know I'm not gonna eat it all like this week, could I freeze it?
Oh, yes, this is definitely a very good recipe for it to be frozen, and you can like eat half of it today or this week and then like freeze the rest of it, yes, it's a very good recipe. Yeah. Yes, I like to make soups and stuff like that while I'm here at school and freeze like half of them because just like being a single person, it's hard to eat a lot, especially like these meals when they're like kind of hard to find like meals that are like for sick people for like 1 or 2
Yeah.
servings. So yes, definitely.
Okay.
And also when I freeze my chili, I like to, if you have individual servings, like little like smaller containers, I like to portion it out. So instead of putting it in one big container, I'll put it in like 2 or 3 smaller containers so I can just pull one out for like one meal. So that if you have the smaller containers, that's also a very good idea. All right, how's everyone's chips doing? And we make sure you keep an eye on those so they don't get too brown.
Okay.
Tina said hers got a little dark on the edges, so yes, the chips get very dark, like they darken very quickly if you don't keep an eye on them. So
Mm-hmm.
if they're getting a little too dark, you can turn your oven down because I think we're at 420. No, sorry, 375. So you go down to 350 if you need to. Move them if you have a lower rack than your medium rack, put them lower. How's everyone's chili doing? Is it starting to get nice and thick?
A little bit.
I hear some timers going off. Make sure you check those chips and take them out, give them a flip over and pop them back in the oven for a few more minutes. You can also taste your chili right now and see if it needs any more salt or pepper. It shouldn't be too bad depending on your chicken stock. Hopefully it's not too salty. Broth can get a little salty sometimes, especially if you're using like bouillon cubes or something like that. Those are very high in sodium. And just keep your eye on your chips because the second time you put them in, they're probably going to get browned a lot quicker. So it should only be a few more minutes. And make sure you turn your oven off when you're done. Right, how are the chips looking? They should probably be pretty close.
Almost.
And keep stirring your chili. Right, how are your tortilla chips? Has anyone pulled them out of the oven yet?
Yes, I did.
Yep.
Okay. When they start to cool off, they'll get a little bit crispier too. So if they're like, they seem a little, I don't know what the word is, limp. Is that the right word? They're still just a little warm. So when they cool, they get like crispier. Okay, once everyone has their chips pulled out of the oven, we can move on to step 6. Haley said hers are done. All right. I think we'll move on to step 6 now.
Step 6. When the chili is done simmering, serve with the chips on the side and enjoy.
All right, so if you want your chili to simmer a little bit longer, go right ahead, but it technically is ready now if you want to eat now. The chips are better a little bit warm, probably with your chili, than to let them wait. But if you do have extra chips left over, you can put them in a Ziploc bag or in an airtight container, and they should stay pretty good for like a day or two. And also if they're like they're like a little stale or something, you can pop them back in the oven for like 3-4 minutes. And then they might crisp them back up. Or also if you have like an air fryer, maybe that would help. You have one of those if you're fancy. So how's everyone's chili? Are we good? We got our chips out?
Yep.
Perfect. Do we have any questions before we finish up? No questions, I don't think. All right, well, if you guys want to let your chili simmer a little bit longer, that's completely fine, up to you. But it is technically done at this point, like I said, so we will let you guys go and enjoy your dinner. But thank you all so much for coming and spending the last 5 Wednesdays with us for Fresh Eats with Brad and Meg. Tomorrow we'll be sending out a quick little survey. It'll take you like 2-3 minutes just to fill out, just on your experience and stuff like that, and maybe some feedback for additional series hopefully we can do in the future. But thank you everyone so much for coming along and being on this journey with us. This was our first time doing something like this, so I would say it was a success with the turnout we had. All right,
Awesome. Thank you.
everyone enjoy, and we'll hopefully see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, thank
See you
you.
guys.
Thank you.